Nepal holds elections on Thursday with a focus on a new generation of voters. A brutal crackdown on anti-corruption protests last year has mobilized Gen Z campaigners, many of whom are now running for public office. Gen Z is more than a label in Nepal, and nearly half of the population is under 30, forcing established political parties to do a major rethink. DW correspondent Adil Bhatt reports now from the capital, Kathmandu.
Nepal is heading into one of its most closely watched elections in years, one that could reshape its political future. But this time, the momentum isn't coming from established political heavyweights. It's coming from the streets. Last September, Kamal Subedi was leading Gen Z protests that toppled the government. Now he's asking for votes. It's the final day of campaigning in Kathmandu. The Gen Z leader has become a candidate.
We started this Gen Z movement last year and will have to take it to its final conclusion. By contesting this election as a Gen Z leader, it's my duty to fight for the Gen Z demands as well as to fight for those who lost loved ones and were injured in the protests. That's why I decided to participate in the elections.
Kamal's campaign focuses on corruption, unemployment and accountability. The same grievances that drove thousands of young Nepalis onto the streets in protests. Nepal's parliament has long been dominated by established parties, often referred to as the old guard. The Gen Z movement is now challenging them directly on their home turf.
The situation in our country is dire, and it's because of the old guard politicians. Our economy has collapsed and our education system is in a very bad state.
The election is the first since deadly anti-corruption protests in September 2025 forced the government from power. Security forces opened fire during demonstrations, killing around 77 people over 2 days. The violence shocked the Himalayan nation and galvanized a generation. 25-year-old Lokinder Khadka was among hundreds injured. He was shot in the leg. Today, he is campaigning for Kamal Subedi alongside the very movement that nearly cost him his life.
My hope is that all the young people who are contesting elections will definitely win this time and will defeat the old guard politicians. They've been ruling for 2 decades and we haven't seen any development or progress in that time.
Lokindra takes us to the spot outside Parliament where he was shot.
I was shot here. This is where the bullets hit my leg. You can still see the marks.
The walls around Parliament are still covered in posters, faces of the dead. Reminders of brutal crackdown that still defines this campaign.
We want to be free of corruption with every citizen equal. For Gen Z, this election is about transparency and good governance.
But analysts say turning protest energy into political power won't be easy. Prakash Nirmal, a senior journalist who has closely followed Nepal's politics, says the movement's fragmented structure could weaken it.
The biggest challenge the Gen Zs will be facing in the days ahead is they're totally disorganized, they're splintered, they're going different paths. There is no way they can organize themselves. So chances are they might be co-opted by one or the other party.
But for Kamal Subedi and his supporters, this is more than an election. It's a test whether a movement born on the streets can rebuild a nation, and if the protesters of yesterday can be the leaders of tomorrow.
DW correspondent Syamantak Ghosh is in the Nepalese capital, Kathmandu. He told me more about the security concerns surrounding this election.
I came here during that time and I have seen the violence in that time. But this time, I would say that it is more calm and quiet situation. The election campaign ended the day before yesterday and we saw a long queue in the airports. People are going back to their villages to cast their votes. And we strolled through the streets of Kathmandu today and yesterday. and we saw the police presence there. Also, we have seen the election commission vehicles. So more or less, it's come and quiet.
I want to talk to you about the demographics of Nepal. We're talking about what, more than 40% of the Nepalese being younger than the age of 18. So this is a country that is increasingly a Generation Z, a Gen Z country. What is Gen Z demanding?
So the Gen Z is the topic in the election, in all the election manifestos, as well as, in the campaigns we heard about the Gen Zs. Gen Zs are also there in the election campaigns, and there are different Gen Z groups here, but most of the groups, they are supporting the elections, and their demands are also there in the manifestos of different political parties. And I spoke with a couple of Gen Z group today, and they're saying that they have submitted a memorandum to the interim prime minister, asking her to expedite the investigation report on September 8th massacre. So that is their key issue, and they said that they will push for it to the new government as well. But I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The interesting thing is that I spoke with the different political parties, different political leaders, the journalists here, the experts. They are assuming that there will be a hung parliament. Nobody will get so that is something going to be interesting.
Okay, and that is something, of course, we'll cover if indeed that does happen. If we look just beyond Gen Z, what would you say were the most important issues in the election campaign? And what would you say are the most pressing challenges for any new government?
Everybody is talking about Gen Zs. They are talking about the Gen Z movement, and almost all the political parties, interestingly, including the Maoists and the communists, they are also saying that they're supporting Gen Zs. And the key issues in this election, again, it's corruption, it is economy. These are the key issues, but everybody is talking about Gen Zs.
I find that to be fascinating, Syamantak, because we're talking about a country that is multi-ethnic. I think, there are 100 different languages recognized in Nepal, and yet Gen Z really is the dominant theme. I mean, can we still can't say that the country is unified by Gen Z, or can we? I mean, how divided is the country?
Absolutely, yes. And every time when we cover Nepal election, we see that different ethnic groups, they have different leaders. But this time, almost all the leaders, they are talking about Gen Zs. And so I was in Jhapa, that is the eastern side of Nepal. It's a remote region close to the Indian border. And you may say that this is this time this is the epicenter of Nepal election, because the ex-prime minister KP Sharma Oli, he is fighting from from that area, that is his constituency, and also the ex-mayor of Kathmandu, and one of the most popular face in this election, that is Balan Shah. He is also fighting from the same constituency, and we have seen that the Gen Z supporters, a huge amount of frontline Gen Z leaders, they are there in Jhapa from across the country, and they were campaigning for Balan Shah. And again, on the communist side, we have seen the old communist, comrades and the cadres. We have seen them in the rallies in KP Sharma Oli's. Yeah, so something very interesting. And the question you asked me that about the diversity, this time I have not seen that diversity. Everybody is talking about Gen Z.
Yeah, I mean, if people want proof that demographics matter, all they have to do is look at Nepal. That is for sure. Syamantak Ghosh in Kathmandu for us today. Syamantak, good to have you with us. Excellent reporting on a story that we hope will reach out to the world. Thank you.
Thank you.